Hey gang, it's JC and this is the Daily Dose for Thursday, November 1st, 2012. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. We have great television archives up top. We have JC's Eye Candy right below. And the results of our rock and roll poll question, by the way, which was, how would you rate the current state of St. Louis radio? Now, we got talking about this because I've tried to explain to you in the last Daily Dose just how pathetic things are and some of the reasons why they're in such pathetic state. And number one answer about what do you think of the current state of St. Louis radio is pathetic. 34%. What the F happened? That was our number one answer. Number two answer at 33%. It seems like there's less and less that interests me. Another 25% of you said there's only a couple of stations and shows I like. And only 8% said, great, I have stations I like and listen a lot. Now you would think that a positive response of only 8% would get the attention of the people who run the radio stations here in town, but I can tell you it won't, because it's all about money. It's all about money these days. It's like they're not even really paying that much attention to the ratings anymore. Everything is about revenue, and everything's screwed up right now. I don't know if it's ever going to get any better or if this is it. And as I said last time in the dose, I have no idea, because they've already surprised me in how bad things have gotten. Anyhow, I won't dwell on that. Let's move on to our rock and roll poll question for the weekend. Which statement best describes your feelings about the current onslaught of negative political ads on radio and TV? Your choices. A, please let me make it to Tuesday without taking a life. B, they bug me, but not that much. C, I ignore all of it. Or D, I actually sort of like them. Please answer down in the corner. We'll have results for you. We update the dose on Mondays and Thursdays in most cases. We had a little technical issue. I had to rip out AT&T today. The charter guys are coming today. I'm sorry, I gave AT&T every opportunity to make good on this whole thing, but my service has been dropping out 3 to 4 times a day. This has been going on now for over a month. I gave them numerous opportunities, multiple opportunities to make good on this, and you finally just reach a point where you say, I'm sorry, you blew it. You're not even returning my calls anymore, so you must just think I'm like one of those problem customers. Well, I'm going to be a problem when my internet service is out 3 to 4 times a day. So Charter, it's your turn. I hope you guys don't F it up. Anyhow, we update on Mondays and Thursdays, and that's pretty much it. And for those of you on Facebook, I'm always on Facebook at The Showgram with J.C. Corcoran. All right, the storm. As you know, I have a very good friend I've talked about many, many times before, Chris Albers. Chris went to SLU High from St. Louis, got a job working for Letterman, worked for Jon Stewart, for Bill Maher, and for 14 years was Conan O'Brien's monologue writer. But when Conan went west to Hollywood, Chris stayed back, and he bought himself, in addition to the apartment he has in Manhattan, he bought himself a house 2 blocks off the water on the Jersey Shore. And those helicopter shots, those aerial shots you were seeing around Point Pleasant and stuff like that, that's him. Talked to him late last night, and it's just devastating. I mean, they're going to have to rip out what's left of the house. They're going to rip out. It might come right down to the studs in the frame, and that might be all that is salvageable. So he's one of those guys. Sand everywhere. He took in, I think they said, about 3 to 4 feet of water on the main floor, worse than the garage because it's down lower. This was a MFer of a storm, and I have to say something else. With as much heat, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody, as much heat as the weather guys get, they nailed this, and they nailed this 4 or 5 days out. I mean, they said that thing was going to go up the coast, go out to sea, and then turn, make a left, and head straight for the Delmarva Peninsula, Jersey Shore, and that's exactly where it went. So I think also we're getting better at forecasting hurricanes. 10 years ago, they'd say, we don't know where it's going to go. You can't tell what direction a hurricane is going to go. Well, they're getting a little better at it, because 3, 4, or 5 days out, they nailed this one, and they absolutely did. So congratulations to those guys. How about Pia Toscano singing the Star-Spangled Banner before the Rams game in London? She was the one that got booted off American Idol, not last season, but 2 seasons ago. And this was the one that where a lot of people, including me, stopped watching. I said, that's it. They jumped the shark. This is not only one of the best singers in that particular season of American Idol, but she's one of the best singers they've ever had. Plus, she's tremendously marketable because she's so pretty and has this amazing figure, and they booted her off the show because 12-year-old girls who do the voting on American Idol didn't like her for whatever reason. That's when the show jumped the shark. I haven't watched since. Amen, and congratulations to Pia. I think you're still going to be a big deal. I really do. I was sitting at First Watch last Sunday morning, and got a drink with a straw. The straw comes with a little paper around it. And I figured I would, on my 5th wedding anniversary with Triple C, which was last weekend, I thought I would pleasure her by pointing the straw at her and shooting the paper straw cover at her. How much fun would that be? For me, and as a show of affection. Alright? So you do that, and of course then it dawned on me, you can't do that anymore with straws. Who was the person, who was Satan's personal representative on earth who took away that very, very, very simple joy and pleasure that we men had of blowing straws at our kids and our wives? You can't do it anymore. The whole thing's full of air and you try to blow and nothing happens. How sick is that? Well, who has that kind of power and influence in the world today that said, hey, you know what, everybody who makes straws, cut that shit out? How can that be? All right. According to oil analysts, the hurricane might actually mean cheaper gas because so few people are driving along the eastern seaboard. There's a glut of gas. Who would have guessed that? First thing I said is, oh, geez, there's 6 refineries up there along the coast, and the gas prices are going to spike. Instead, I had a report this morning of gas for the first time under $3 in a long time. Now, I know there's people insisting it's a conspiracy having to do with the election next Tuesday, but it seems to be just one of those things. The Center for Media and Public Affairs has released the results of a study which found that if you think that it's unfair, the number of jokes being made about Romney as opposed to Obama, you'd be absolutely right, because Mitt Romney, this is in a period August 27th through October 3rd, and they counted up like the Today Show and Letterman and Late Night with Craig Ferguson and Jimmy Fallon and all that sort of stuff. And they found the number of jokes about Romney, 148, Obama only 62, followed by Schwarzenegger, Bill Clinton 28, Paul Ryan 20, Prince Harry at 19, followed by Clint Eastwood, Joe Biden, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and by the way, in the run-up to the '08 election, Obama was 4th in being joked about behind McCain, Sarah Palin, and George W. Bush. Sports. All right, now I've said this for a long time. I think there are sports guys, not only nationally but locally, who are the real deal, who actually know stuff. And I think about 95% of them are just blowing smoke out of their asses, and now it's been confirmed. At the beginning of the baseball season, 58 experts from Sports Illustrated and ESPN tried to predict the matchup of the World Series. They got 58 experts from ESPN and Sports Illustrated. None of them picked Detroit, San Francisco. Only 8 picked the Tigers to make it, and only 6 picked the Giants. Who did the worst job? Carl Ravitch, who hosts Baseball Tonight on ESPN. He predicted a Boston Red Sox, Arizona Diamondbacks World Series. Boston, 69-93. Arizona, 81-81. So much for experts. All right, got to tell you about a movie called Flight. Denzel Washington opening up this weekend. Airline pilot whose plane starts to plummet from 30,000 feet. He pulls off a miraculous landing. Only a couple of lives are lost. But then the you-know-what hits the fan when they find out that he had a little problem. Don Cheadle, the lawyer defending him, Bruce Greenwood, who's always good in anything he's in, pretty much, plays the union rep, and John Goodman is his wisecracking, druggy friend. And at all, I mean, at face value, you'd say, oh my God, this is money in the bank. Denzel Washington and all those actors. The movie is a mess. Flight is an absolute mess. They can't decide what movie they want to make here. And by the way, this is Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis has made some of the finest movies we've ever seen, including Back to the Future, okay? But, you know, at one point the movie is heavy-handed and serious, and the next minute they're wisecracking and making jokes. At one point you think that this is going to sort of morph into a cautionary tale about drugs and alcohol addiction and everything like that, and then the next minute they're making jokes. There are characters who appear and are in the movie for a good chunk of the movie and then just disappear. There are other characters who just sort of pop up and then they just sort of disappear. So Robert Zemeckis, this is the first movie that he's made in about a decade that wasn't some sort of CGI-dominated presentation. And I don't know, maybe he's forgotten how to do it, but the script is the problem. The script is a wreck. I don't know what they could not decide what movie they wanted to make. in this whole thing. So Flight, for me, gets 2 out of 5 corks, and I think I'm being generous, by the way, because there are some scenes in it that are good, and John Goodman's scenes are hilarious. They're just not, they should not be in this movie. So that's it, Flight. I would avoid that one. We are, however, highly recommending Ben Affleck in Argo. It's sensational. Also, the documentary Searching for Sugar Man, which I think is only playing in Plaza Frontenac, and that is absolutely, it's just wonderful. It is wonderful. Tears in the eyes of the audience near the end of Searching for Sugar Man. And very soon we're going to have Lincoln. Lincoln, this is Daniel Day-Lewis as the President of the United States, and this is directed by Steven Spielberg. Saw it 2 days ago, and we'll have that for you in a couple of days. All right, JC's Eye Candy today. They did a time-lapse photography thing of the storm moving in to New York City. It spans 2 days. They got it down to 2 minutes, and you see the power go out at one point. It's sort of cool to see, and so that's JC's Eye Candy. It's right below what you're looking at right now. All right, JC's Rock and Roll poll question. Which statement best describes your feelings about the current onslaught of negative political ads on radio and TV? Please answer in the corner, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. We update on Mondays and Thursdays here on the Daily Dose, and we're on Facebook all the time at the Showgram with J.C. Corcoran. That's it, the Daily Dose for Thursday, November 1st, 2012. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. And in the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.